is all about the scientists who studied atoms that we are using and referring our studies and experiments today.
Two hours later.
Ma'am, my name is Teresa Cortez. I'm from Group 3. My topic is all about Democritus, the one who study atoms. Democritus was a Greek philosopher who lived between 470 380 BC. He believed that concept of atoms, atom Greek for individual. Democritus believed that everything in universe was made of atoms, which microscopic and indestructible. However, he believed that their really small particles were completely solid and would come in endless shape and size in order to create all the types of matters that make up our university. So that's all, ma'am. Thank
everyone. Today I want to talk to you about Dalton's atomic theory. So first, who is John Dalton? John Dalton was an English scientist who is well known for his work in the development of atomic theory. Dalton studies the weights of various elements and compounds. He noticed that matter always combined in fixed ratios based on weight or volume in the case of gases. Chemical compounds always contained the same proportion, which provided further support for Prost's law of definite proportions. Dalton also observed that there could be more than one combination of two elements. From his experiments and observation, as well as the work from peers of his time, Dalton proposed a new theory of the atom. This later became known as Dalton's atomic theory. The general tenets of this theory were as follows. All matter is composed of extremely small particles called atoms. Atoms of a given element are identical in size, mass, and other properties. Atoms of different elements differ in size, mass, and other properties. Atoms cannot be subdivided, created, or destroyed. Atoms of different elements can combine in simple whole number ratios to form chemical compounds. In chemical reactions, atoms are combined, separated, or rearranged. Dalton's atomic theory has been largely accepted by the scientific community with the exception of three changes. We know that 1. An atom can be further subdivided. 2. All atoms of an element are not identical in mass. And 3. Using nuclear fission and fusion techniques, we can create or destroy atoms by changing them into other atoms.
Later.
In 1897, G.G. Thomson discovered the electron by experimenting with a Crookes or cathode ray tube. He demonstrated that cathode rays were negatively charged. In addition, he also studied positively charged particles in neon. Thomson realized that the accepted model of an atom did not account for negatively or positively charged particles. Therefore, he proposed a model of the atom which he linked to palm padding. The negative electrons represented the racines in the padding and the contained the positive charge. Thomson's model of the atom did explain some of the electrical properties of the atom due to the electrons, but failed to recognize the positive charge in the atom as particles.
Good evening, and today I am going to discuss Ernest Rutherford's atomic model. So, who is Ernest Rutherford? So, Ernest Rutherford, 1st Baron Rutherford of Nelson, OMPC FRS, was a nuclear physicist from New Zealand. He is also a British man, and he is known as the father of nuclear physics, founded the atomic orbital theory. So, what did Rutherford discover about the atom? So, Ernest Rutherford postulated the nuclear structure of the atom, discovered alpha and beta rays, and proposed the laws of radioactive decay. He received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1908. The model described the atom as a tiny, dense, positively charged core called the nucleus, in which nearly all the mass is concentrated, around which light, negative constituents called electrons circulate at some distance, much like planets revolving around the sun. So the atom is described by Ernest Rutherford as a tiny, massive core called the nucleus. The nucleus is a positive charge. Electrons are particles with a negative charge, and electrons orbit the nucleus. So the empty space between the nucleus and the electrons takes up most of the volume of the atom. Now, there are two main features of Rutherford's atomic model. So, number one is the atom contains a central part called nucleus, which is surrounded by electrons. Number two, the nucleus of an atom is positively charged. The size of the nucleus is very small as compared to the atomic size. So, how did Rutherford come up with this model of atom? So, Rutherford reasoned that if Thomson's model was correct, then the mass of the atom was spread out throughout the atom. So, he thus developed the planetary model of the atom, which put all the protons in the nucleus and the electrons orbited around the nucleus like planets around the sun. So, when was Rutherford's atomic theory? So, Rutherford's model, also called Rutherford atomic model, nuclear atom, or planetary model of the atom description of the structure of atoms, proposed in 1911 by the New Zealand-born physicist, which is Rutherford.
2 hours later.
In 1913, Niels Bohr proposed a theory for the hydrogen atom based on quantum theory that energy is transferred only in a certain well-defined quantities. Electrons should move around the nucleus but only in prescribed orbits. Bohr's theory could explain why atoms emitted light in fixed wavelength. The Bohr model works only for hydrogen because it considers only the interaction between one electron and the nucleus. The Bohr model is based on the energy level of one electron orbiting a nucleus at various energy levels. Any other electrons in the atom will repel the one electron and change its energy level.